Mom, today was the worst day, cried Aditi. Her mother shook her head in disinterest. Aditi went inside her room and started punching her pillow as usual to vent her anger. Aditi's mother continued with her cooking, not bothering to ask her daughter what went wrong. Aditi came running from her room, her hair in a big bun with some strands out of place. She had changed from her party wear to her casuals. Aditi asked her mother, Mom, why don't you ask me? What happened at the party? Don't you care about me? Aditi's mother stopped chopping tomatoes and looked at her with a funny expression. Aditi couldn't interpret it well, so she gestured for her mother to speak. Her mother put the knife back, washed her hands, and came to her. She touched her shoulder and asked her to sit. Aditi, now even more heartbroken, as if her mother was finally going to listen to her worries. Her expression of sadness changed to a marathon of tears. Her mother asked her to calm down first and then share what happened. Aditi forced herself to stop crying, then adjusted the strands of her hair outside her neatly made bun. Then said, Tanvi was so mean towards me. I never expected this from her. I always thought she was my best friend, but today, on this day, I realized it was all my fantasy. She doesn't even care about my feelings. I cannot stand this. She insulted me, Mom. I felt like becoming invisible after hearing her harsh words. Squeezing her hands together in an attempt to vent her anger. Her mother noticed this and touched Aditi's hand, asking her, What did Tanvi say that upset you so much? Aditi sniffed, then adjusted her posture. She held on to her mother's hands and asked, How did I look when I went to the party this morning? Her mother smiled and said, Fantastic. Aditi said, No, Mom, my face looked like a road with speed breakers, right? Tears streaming down her face amidst her words. Her mother's expression grew more concerned, and she asked, Why do you say that, honey? You're gorgeous. Aditi said, No, Tanvi used to say that to me. I believed her words. But all that was fake. If not, why would she say such mean words to me now, especially in front of all my other classmates? After those words were said, I cannot revisit that memory. I feel so terrible. Everyone was literally laughing at me. I tried so hard to control myself from crying, but I couldn't stop. Aditi explained. How am I going to face my classmates tomorrow? I'm even thinking about changing schools. Is that okay? I need to ask Dad to make such arrangements. Aditi sniffed between her words. Her mother felt sorry for her innocent daughter, who never realized all these were tricks of life. She decided to clear this cloud in her daughter's mind. Suddenly, a ringtone made both of them jolt from their normal positions. Aditi's phone was ringing, and the display screen showed images of Tanvi. She put her mobile back and looked at her mother, more tears rolling down her cheeks. Aditi hugged her mother. Mom, can you please let me join a new school? Even if that means I have to redo an year. I'm okay. I cannot face anyone. I'm feeling so embarrassed. Her mother shook her head slowly as if approving and asked, Aditi, tell me something. Before we discuss all these arrangements for a new school, I would like to know something. And asked, Last week you were telling Tanvi was your best friend, and you seemed very prideful about it. What incident made you believe so? By telling these words, she looked at Aditi with curiosity. Aditi took a deep breath, looked at the ceiling, and said, That day, she complimented me in front of all my other friends. She was continuously pointing out all my plus points. I was feeling very happy that day. All these incidents made me believe that Tanvi was my best friend. But who knew that this day would be on the list where I realized my mistake horribly? I cannot help. I cannot stop my tears. Oh my God. Will it dehydrate me, Mom? Should I drink more water to balance it? By telling these words, she went straight to the kitchen to fill her bottle. Aditi's mother smiled and realized how vulnerable her daughter was in handling criticisms. When Aditi came back sipping water from her glass, She saw her mother turning magazine pages and skimming the contents. She reached the sofa, sat beside her mother, then cleared her throat. Her mother looked at her with a smile and asked her, "Shall I ask you something?" Aditi, while sipping another glass of water, gestured for her mother to ask. Her mother nodded and then asked, "Do you have only Tanvi as your commander in life, or do you have a handful of them?" Aditi, analyzing her mother's words calmly, and on seeing this expression, her mother then asked directly, "When did Tanvi become your commander in life, and you her slave?" Right after hearing these words, water suddenly choked Aditi's throat, and her sudden reaction came as she splashed the water outside her mouth. Her mother covered her face with a magazine to protect herself from this water spill. Aditi put the glass of water on the table, wiped her mouth with her hands, and asked her mother, "What? What did you ask, Mom? Who is my commander? Tanvi? Oh God, no way I'm her slave." Aditi's face turned red, probably with the embarrassment she felt from her mother's words. Her mother smiled and asked, "Okay, okay. See, do you remember the day when we went shopping for your uncle's marriage?" Aditi nodded and asked, "But what is the connection here?" Her mother put the magazine on the side of the sofa and turned to face Aditi. She asked her, "Tell me, what do you remember from that day?" Aditi, with a confused look, said, "I was very happy that day because of the dress." Her mother nodded in disagreement, encouraging her to think back, and said, "You felt happy only after Tanvi praised your looks. Before that, you were feeling sad and continuously asking your dad and me and as well as our relatives about your looks. Do you remember?" On hearing these words, Aditi sort of remembered the scene that her mother described and said, "Yeah, but then I felt at ease. What's the problem here?" Her mother shook her head in disbelief and said, "Aditi, tell me, were you really that good in your academics, or did you cheat in any form to score good marks?" And looked at Aditi. On hearing these words, Aditi was shocked and said, "No," and tears started to roll down her cheeks once again. "Stop crying, Aditi," said her mother in a determined tone. Aditi stopped, even refraining from breathing for a moment, and then resumed after a few seconds and said, "I've not cheated since kindergarten. How could you say so, Mom?" Aditi sobbed again, but on seeing her mother's facial expression, she stopped and gestured that she wouldn't cry. She looked at her mother. Her mother said, "See, I asked you whether you cheated or not to get you to the point," said her mother. Aditi, with a confused look, asked, "What point?" Her mother sighed and said, "See, Aditi, you have to listen to me very carefully. You, without even realizing it, have clearly given Tanvi the commanding position in your life." On hearing these words, Aditi, with an irritated expression, started to object, but her mother gestured for her to listen first, and so she did. Her mother continued, "See, that day you were very happy when Tanvi said you are good at many things. Today, you are very sad because Tanvi made fun of your pimples. If this evidence isn't enough, think about the day of your uncle's marriage shopping. You seemed to have no confidence in yourself. You were continuously asking your dad, me, and your grandparents about your dress and looks. Finally, your grandfather got irritated and went to the marriage hall one day before." While telling this, Aditi's mother smiled, and Aditi felt embarrassed. Then her mother continued, "Till she arrived, you were like a fish out of water. Once she came in and praised you, your self confidence shot to the sky. Don't you remember?" Can you realize the point now? Tanvi decides how you should feel about yourself, and you continue being like this for a while. Now you have lost your words and let all other classmates make fun of you. On listening this, Aditi adjusted her posture in disbelief. Her mother continued, "What's the big deal about pimples? If they made fun of you, why did you cry? Okay, in the heat of the moment you cried. But after that, why don't you say that you are confident in who you are? her mother asked, looking at Aditi. She seemed to be analyzing her mother's words. On understanding this, her mother asked, "Are you not confident in who you are? Or do you have no permission from Tanvi to feel confident?" On listening to all this, Aditi became more helpless. Aditi's mother asked her to see a page from a magazine where a cinema actress is feeling proud about her face, saying her pimples don't bother her. Aditi saw that and said to her mother in a low tone, "Mom, she is a celebrity, and so she can be confident." Her mother smiled, and so did Aditi. Suddenly, her mother changed her facial expression, and Aditi grew more tense. Her mother asked her, "Is she an alien who resides on Earth and became an actress?" Aditi shook her head no. Her mother continued, "See, Aditi, an actress who is completely living her life inside the scanner of each and every one. And if she can be confident, learn from her these good things too." As Aditi began to understand her mother's words, suddenly her mother said, But yeah, actresses have no Tanvi in life as a commander, so they can feel easy in their life. You better ask Tanvi when you could be confident," and looked at her daughter. On hearing her mother's words, Aditi stood up from sofa as if electricity passed through her and said, "Oh my god, how stupid I was to feel like a puppet. I should have known this, but how did I end up inside it without realizing?" She hugged her mother and said, "Mom, I'm sorry. You are right. Not only the instance you mentioned, even when I scored 95 in maths, I felt bad until Tanvi praised me. And during dance practice too, I felt uneasy when Tanvi shouted at me. But the problem was due to her movements. Even knowing all this, I kept calm. Oh God, what did I do? This was not me. She possessed me, Mom. I feel she is kind of a witch. If not, why will I be like this?" By telling this, Aditi gave her mother a confused and innocent look together. Her mother smiled and said, "Yeah, you got her inside your head all by yourself. Then, when realizing the after effects, or in your case, the side effects, now you're gonna say she is a witch, she injected blood into you, all of this, right?" Her mother teased and gave Aditi a pinch on her cheeks. Aditi became embarrassed and said, "I'm sorry, Mom." Her mother smiled and said, "It is good to feel happy when someone appreciates you. But if that crosses the healthy limit, where you can only be happy if that person or any other person approves of it, then you will suffer a lot. Today you have only Tanvi as such a person. You're growing and you will meet more people. Then the list of people who could make you a puppet according to their will and wish will reach great numbers. Today's Tanvi could be tomorrow's Anika, Riya, Rahul, etc. etc. On listening to this, Aditi nodded in agreement and her mother continued, "You need to be your commander in life. Don't allow anyone randomly to decide your mood. Build your self confidence within you. Don't search for it inside others. If you do so, then you become the most beautiful puppet. Do you want to be the one?" asked her mother. To which Aditi nodded no, as if electricity shot through her. Her mother smiled and asked, "Now, do you want to change your school? Can we discuss it with your dad tonight?" Aditi said, "No, Mom, I can handle this now. I was hypnotized with her good words. Maybe I did not realize when I drowned inside it to get me erased." By telling these words, she hugged her mother. Her mother hugged her back and said, "Come on, now you made my cooking late by 20 minutes." On listening to this, Aditi gave her mother a sorry expression, but her mother caught her hands and said, "Go and chop tomatoes, and this day is good to make a new dish, as you won't forget the recipe forever," and smiled. Aditi sighed and started to chop tomatoes with deep contentment. Her mother realized that her daughter was now breathing freely without the confusions, and gradually she would get herself out of the prison of external validation completely. And she clapped her hands in happiness. The end. So, friends, now the most important part, connection of the story and self love. What if Aditi is you or us and her mother is life? Let me elaborate. Haven't we reacted like Aditi at some point in our life? If we are too much involved like Aditi, then we may be continuously seeking external validation and losing our inner confidence and peacefulness to others, isn't it? We smile if others want us to. We cry if others want us to. Don't we? Don't we always imagine a scenario where we are free from disturbing words of others? But do you think it is possible? It could be possible only if we are living inside the forest without any other humans living near us. Yes, even if a single person is around us, he or she may have anything good or bad to tell us about ourselves. So, what is necessary here? Balance. Balance between internal validation and external validation is very crucial. We can feel grateful for others' appreciation, but we should not bind our happiness to them. We need to balance it. Only then can we breathe freely without being a puppet according to someone else's mood swings. Can you get me, friend? So, always remember, at some point in your life, you may reach a moment where you know that you are right, but the people close to you may not realize that. At that time, if you have not dealt with your fever of external validation, it's enough to make your life a living hell. Stop yourself from dancing to the tunes of others' opinions about you. It's time to compose your tune to enjoy your dance called life. Come on, see yourself without the lens of others and fall in love. And this self love capsule is very important in the journey of life. So don't forget to take it, my friend. Here in our story, Aditi's mother was very sweet with her lessons to wake up Aditi to reality. But if we pretend to be in deep sleep, then life will come with some bitter lessons for us not to forget it ever. So why go for that? Just wake up now, along with Aditi. Come on, friend. Take control of your life. Think about it, friend. Tell me in comment section about your such experiences in life as well how you are dealing with it. And don't forget to like the video. By telling you all this, your moon friend is vanishing with a very last question to you guys. Friends, just subscribe to be my friend.